Chapter 44 of Married Thrice to Salted Fish. As early as when Gu Fuzhao's first resignation letter was sent to the capital, the emperor and his confidants have been discussing the matter. They have been discussing for a long time. Some were of the opinion that Gu Fuzhao has commanded the army for many years and has won the hearts and minds of the soldiers. If things go on like this, the soldiers might grow to obey only military orders and not the emperor's. Since Gu Fuzhao himself asked to return to the capital, releasing any military power he had, the emperor could simply follow his wishes and take the opportunity to take back the military power. It could be regarded as removing a hidden danger to the Dayu. Another faction, headed by Shao Cheng, scoffed at such a statement. Now that the war in the northwest was a stalemate, letting Gu Fuzhao come back would only shake the heart of the army and give the enemy an opportunity. Gu Fuzhao was stationed in the northwest border throughout the year. He has won countless victories. Just his name was enough to deter part of the enemy. If Gu Fuzhao was not in the northwest, the Xixia army would definitely take the opportunity to attack the city and capture their stronghold. Let Zhao Mingwei protect it? Was he even capable of that? The emperor had yet to make his imperial decision. Gu Fuzhao's resignation letters went from every 5 days to every 3. In recent days, it came almost daily. At the same time, Zhao Mingwei's impeachment request changed from one every 5 days to one every 10. He used to insist on impeachment, but he suddenly stopped. He even said in his report, although the general is very lazy, nevertheless, he is able to lead our army to score one victory after another. It was over. He no longer wishes to get to the bottom of this matter. Oh my gosh, see, he's a smart salted fish. He might not be doing exercises early in the morning, but he's good with strategy. My boy's got brain. While the messenger soldiers were desperately running between the capital and Yongliang, the Xixia army was not idle either. They attacked the city 3 times, and within the span of a month, every day that went without the emperor's approval of his request was another day that Gu Fuzhao was still the general of the Jiangxi army. Every time the enemy attacked, he would grumble and swear for a while. Then he would reluctantly get up from bed, strategized in front of the sand table, and plan victory from 1,000 miles away. What? The emperor asked why General Gu wouldn't go into the battle himself to cut down their enemies. That was absolutely impossible. Let's put it this way. The Qingyun Jiazhao spear bestowed by the emperor has long since been gathering dust in the corner. His steed, an extremely rare Ferghana horse, he has overfed and allowed to grow fat. He's even dubbed it a very shameful nickname. What was puzzling was that Gu Fuzhao could lead them to win every time, and not only to win, but also win beautifully. There was even one time that while Gu Fuzhao was commanding the city defenses, he dispatched a team of elite soldiers at the same time, taking advantage of the enemy's all-out attack to launch a secret raid on the towns where the enemy stored their military provisions. No one knew how General Gu knew that the enemy was storing their provisions in a small town less than a day's ride away. In short, halfway through the siege of the city, news of the stolen provisions suddenly reached the enemy. They couldn't advance, nor could they retreat. In the end, they lost their army after having given away a bride. This was the first time Gu Fuzhao took the initiative to attack after having been cured of the residual poison. Everyone thought that he had reverted back to his old personality. Their highly respected and noble General Gu, who got up early in the morning and worked late into the night, was back. Who would have thought that Gu Fuzhao, having worked hard for only a day after winning, threw down this statement? Let everyone rest for a couple of days and we'll discuss it afterwards, and then lay in bed for 2 days. The generals and military officers were confused, heartbroken, filled with bitterness, but they also couldn't help but be convinced. In any case, for the soldiers on the battlefield, the most important thing was to be able to win the battle and keep the number of their casualties and their wounded to a minimum. Only then did Xiao Mingwei write in his report, "Forget it, forget it. We no longer wish for his impeachment. His Majesty also shouldn't look into this matter any longer." Who would have thought that Gu Fuzhao would specially come looking for him after learning of this, saying earnestly, "You can't give up halfway, General Zhao. 90 li is merely half a 100 li journey. You may be successful if your impeachment You may be successful in your impeachment if you just send over another report." Zhao Mingwei said, embarrassed, "The general has led us to the win so many times. Although the methods used are very different from before, what matters is that we won. We don't have any high requirements." Gu Fuzhao looked at him reproachfully and said, "Hating iron for not becoming steel. You're hopeless. Don't you want to push me aside and take the position for yourself?" Zhao Mingwei let out a long sigh and cupped his hands before his chest in obeisance. "General Gu is a person of outstanding ability and wisdom. I am ashamed of my inferiority. It is only right that you should remain as Chief General." No, he's so effective that people are just like, "Nope, you are doing great. I will just be like, listening to your commands. You're great." Oh my gosh! At this point, I mean, if it goes on like this, when is he going to return to his wife? Gu Fuzhao almost vomited blood. "You can't do this to me." When the good news reached the capital, the emperor decisively rejected Gu Fuzhao's resignation. Don't be fooled by Gu Fuzhao's insistence that he no longer wanted to fight this war, that he wanted to go back to the capital to retire. If forced onto the battlefield, he would still win the battle for everyone to see. Such being the case, then let him continue to stay in Yonglong. The emperor also specially decreed that the Lin Yan Pan should stay by his side to ensure that the general was safe, and while he was at it, he should look into the reason for the general's great change in temperament. Like this, while Gu Fuzhao quite reluctantly engaged in battle, he continued to request the emperor to let him resign. Half of the emperor's dragon table was filled with his resignation letters. Let the man take a freaking break, dude. Lay him off. That's what he wants. Oh gosh. Finally, the emperor had reached the end of his forbearance. He summoned all the ministers to the Xinjiang Hall to discuss this matter. Under the emperor's fury, everyone was silent. No one dared to touch this Matao. The emperor raised his eyebrows and said coldly, "I have already refused Gu Fuzhao's case, and yet he still brings up the same thing again and again. Such arrogance. He must really think himself untouchable even by Zhen." Grievances poured out in a torrent from the ministers' hearts. The war in the northwest was raging. During this critical moment, Gu Fuzhou truly was nearly untouchable. However, who would dare to tell the truth to the emperor? In the end, it was the crown prince who stood up. Shaocheng picked up the scattered reports, sorted them out, and put them back on the table. He said, "Father, please calm down. I think that since Gu Fuzhou is still capable of bringing victory, it would be better for him to stay in Yongliang. This is the time one must make use of their people. One who can be used must naturally be used to his fullest ability." Ugh. Like, where are the human rights, huh? Where are the employee benefits? The emperor hit the table hard. With him distracted with thoughts of hurrying home, how is he to protect the Northwest for me? Then wait until he loses. It won't be too late by then to have him replaced. The ministers exchanged inscrutable glances. The Minister of War said, "If General Gu really is barred from returning, might he deliberately lose to the enemy?" Shaocheng smiled. "If he deliberately loses the battle, abandons the city, and causes casualties among his soldiers, how could he still maintain any standing within the army? When that time comes, His Majesty will take back military power from his hands. Who among the generals then would speak up for him?" The emperor slowly sat down on the dragon chair. "This is certainly one way. Furthermore, with how eager Gu Fuzhou is to return to the capital, his reason must not be as simple as just wanting to retire." Shaocheng said, "I beg my father, Your Majesty, to send the Tianji camp to investigate the reason." The emperor felt quite gratified. He rubbed his forehead and said, "Then I shall entrust this matter to the crown prince." Seeing this, Shaocheng asked with concern, "Is father feeling unwell?" The emperor closed his eyes and said, "It is of no problem, simply an old illness." Everyone said in unison, wishing for His Majesty to look after his health. The emperor waved his hand and motioned for them to withdraw. Shaocheng walked out of Xincheng Palace and summoned Shu Ying. He asked, "Has father been suffering from headaches recently?" Shu Ying said, "Quite. His Majesty is worried about the war in the northwest." "Then have Chu Zhengde examine the emperor's condition." Shu Ying said, "This servant shall send someone to summon him immediately." Chu Zhengde served as the assistant Yan Pan of the Imperial Hospital. He was 65 years old and was the most qualified in the entire Imperial Hospital. Despite this, he has occupied the post of assistant Yan Pan for a decade. Medicine, like poetry and swordsmanship, have different schools of thought. Chu Zhengde and Lin Yan Pan belong to different factions. Their political views have diverged for a long time, and it was unavoidable that he harbored some feelings of disapproval towards the other. Because of this reason, he didn't have any good feelings towards Lin Yan Pan's son. After Lin Qingyu arrived at the Imperial Hospital, Huji took him to meet his colleagues and seniors one by one. No matter what others thought of him, outwardly they were polite. Only Chu Zhengde said as soon as he came up, "Are you the ignorant youth who came up with the prescription for the epidemic?" Lin Qingyu said, "Yes." Chu Zhengde, stroking his beard, shook his head and sighed. "Others, if they wish to join the Imperial Hospital, must go through decades of strenuous study, pass the highly selective Imperial Medical Officers exam, and then study at the Imperial Medical Office for at least 3 years, while you, the male wife of a recently deceased husband, relied on a prescription of questionable efficacy to bypass the exam and entered the Imperial Hospital all before even reaching the crown. Alas, public morals are degenerating with each passing day. Well, what probably is degenerating is your freaking brain cells, you old man. Just because you're freaking jealous of his father, like you can't just take it out on like this young talent who actually cured the epidemic. And if you freaking had to go through the process of taking the exam, study in the Imperial Medical Office, and then become a freaking doctor, then come up with a medicine. With you, who are freaking old, why did you not come up with the damn, solution for the epidemic, huh? Why did you not create the medicine? Ugh, these old freaking people. Huji said, these words of Imperial physician Chus are wrong. Since ancient times, our heroes have come from among the youth. When Lin Yan Pan himself joined the Imperial Hospital, he too was only 20 years old. Moreover, Imperial physician Lin's prescription is not of questionable efficacy. It has already proven to have a miraculous effect on the epidemic. Chu Zhengde sneered and said, everything has to be progressed step by step. The more miraculous the effect, the more you have to worry about its potential harm. I'm simply afraid that even if Imperial physician Lin's prescription does cure the epidemic, it might bring about a lot of causes for trouble to the patient. Lin Qingyu said, the premise for any cause of trouble to exist is that the patient to be alive. Ooh, burn! Chu Zhengde's face darkened. He was about to argue again when he was called by Shao Songxi from Xinjiang Palace. Huji said, that's just how Imperial physician Chu is. Please don't take it too hard. Lin Qingyu nodded. After all, he's been co-signed to the position of Assistant Yan Fan for 10 years. I can understand. He has heard his father mention Chu Zhengde before. Father Lin recognized Chu Zhengde's medical skills and also believed that in terms of qualifications alone, Chu Zhengde should be Yan Pan. However, 10 years ago, Chu Zhengde was ordered to ensure that a favored concubine would be able to deliver her child safely. The emperor had but few male heirs, and the woman he doted on was pregnant, and so great importance was placed on this unborn child. And yet, under Chu Zhengde's painstaking care, the favored concubine suffered an unexplainable miscarriage. Chu Zhengde was accused of breach of duty. No matter how brilliant his medical skills, he would only ever be Assistant Yan Pan. Okay, see, I do understand it. There might be many reasons. It's the freaking palace, okay? If the doctor was really, the reason for the miscarriage, yeah, sure, he should suffer. But it's the palace, and if it is Emperor's most favored concubine, she already has a death flag, and so many people will be taking that as a political move to get rid of the child who might be the future crown prince. And I'm looking at Chu Gufei, who is the current crown prince's mother, who probably has a hand in this. Again, I don't know this happened or not. I'm just project or thinking hypothesis. But yeah, no matter what it is, this guy doesn't have to be bitter to Yan Pan or Lin Qingyu because it's the emperor who did that to you. Show your anger to the people who caused it. Don't take it out on the innocent. That just makes you so freaking annoying. Zhou Zhengde's emotions were written all on his face. There was nothing to be concerned about. On the contrary, it was those colleagues who smiled at him on the surface but hid their true intentions beneath who were more worthy of Lin Qingyu's attention. Lin Qingyu was a newcomer, and this first day was quite leisurely. After his shift at the Imperial Hospital, he left the palace compound from the north gate and came to the Imperial Medical Office, heading straight to the library. It was late at night, the library building was empty, and there were two guards posted at the door. The Emperor had granted Lin Qingyu the right to enter and leave the Imperial Medical Office freely. Even though it was past curfew, the guards still opened the door for Lin Qingyu and handed over a lantern. If Imperial Physician Lin has any requests, please let us know. Lin Qingyu pushed open the door and entered. Rows of two-story bookshelves appeared in front of him, appearing to stretch on endlessly. Rumor has it that it would take decades to read all the medical books in the Imperial Medical Office's library. Lin Qingyu held the lantern up. After walking around twice, he found several long-lost works from the previous dynasties. There was a locked iron door at the end of the library building, behind which should be medical records of the royal family since the founding of the Dayu. Opposite the library was the Thousand Herb Hall, where you could find any kind of exotic ingredients your heart desired. This was the Imperial Medical Office, the culmination of the world's medical study. Lin Qingyu stayed in the library for 2 hours. It was already the 4th watch by the time he came out. He suddenly remembered that there was an ingredient for a prescription that he couldn't find anywhere in the capital, so he turned back and headed to the Thousand Herb Hall. As soon as he entered the door, he saw a person in the hall walking towards him. This person couldn't be a student of the Imperial Medical Office, but looking at his calm pace, he didn't look like a thief either. The man also spotted him and said solemnly, "Who's there?" Lin Qingyu only felt that this person's voice sounded somewhat familiar. It smelled the strong stench of blood and knew that the man was seriously injured. Imperial Physician Lin of the Imperial Hospital, Lin Qingyu. The man's footsteps suddenly stopped. Lin Qingyu raised the lantern and looked at him. The first thing he saw was the blood-stained black clothes and a blood-stained blade. After seeing the man's face clearly, Lin Qingyu's heart moved. "It's you." Will you guys try to guess who this person is? I wanted to spoil it, but I don't want to.